share with you this week's Parshas, Vayelech, something very nice from the Rebbe's father, Rabbi Yitzchok Zatzal, in connection with the Parshas. Rabbi Yitzchok has a beautiful diuk. It says in this week's Parshas about the bris, the covenant that the Eibishter made with the Yidden through Moshe, that they should accept the Torah. Ki lo yishakach, it will never be forgotten. Mi pi zarei, from the mouth of your children. It doesn't say over here ki lo yishakach mi zarei, from your children. It says mi pi zarei, from the mouth. Said Rabbi Yitzchok, the diuk over here from mi pi is based on what the Gemara says in Gittin, the Samachom at Beis, that when the Eibishter made a covenant with the Yidden by Matan Torah, that they'll keep the Torah. Specifically, he wanted to make sure it's referring to Torah Shabbal Peh. There is the written Torah that we have in our shul, and then we have the oral Torah, the Torah Shabbal Peh. Without Torah Shabbal Peh, without learning the Mishnah, the Gemara, the Halacha, we won't understand how to keep the mitzvahs. So the Torah Shabbal Peh, that's what Hashem wanted to have the covenant, because only through that he knows Ki lo yishakach won't be forgotten. If Chas v'Shalom the learning stops, then what use is there from Torah Shabbat, the written Torah? We won't know how to keep any mitzvah. It only comes through learning the Torah Shabbat Peh, the Shas and Aloch, and etc. In Mipi Zarei, in the Torah Shabbat Peh, there are two parts. There is Nigla the Torah, which we call the mechanism of Judaism, just telling you how to keep Shabbos, not to keep Pesach, not to put on tefillin, but doesn't explain you the reason, the Taimei HaMitzvahs. The Taimei HaMitzvahs, the source and the reason for the details of the mitzvah, that you find in Nista the Torah, in Pnimius HaTorah. With this, the Rebbe's father explains a beautiful pasuk, which I would like to share with you. When we pick up the Torah, every time we read Torah, we say, Eitz Chaim Hi L'Machzikim Bo. This is a tree of life for these who are holding on to it. And then we say another pasuk, a pasuk from Mishli that Shlomo Melech said in Perek Gimel pasuk Yud Zayin. It says, Diracheho darkei noyam. Its ways are very pleasant, are very sweet, are very delightful. V'chol nesivei seha sholem, and all its paths are peaceful. So comes Rabbi Yitzchok and says, let's look at the words over here in the pasuk. Everything has a meaning. When it comes to the Racher, its ways, it uses the word noyam, sweetness, pleasantness, delightful. When it comes to nesivei seh, when it comes to paths, it says the word peace. So first of all, what's the difference between derech, a way, and a path? And why when you say the word deracheho, its ways, you use the word noyam, it's sweet, delightful. And when it comes to paths, you use the word sholem, peace. Explains Rabbi Yitzchok like this. The difference between derech and nesiv is, in Torah, when you use the word derech, a way, you're talking about a large thoroughway, like a parkway, like a highway, like an avenue. It's large. Rechoiv godol, a large pathway. When you say the word nesivei seha, you're talking about a path which is small, short, in comparison to a large parkway, an avenue. And here comes Rabbi Yitzchok and says the Shlomo Melech is not just saying something redundant. The beginning and the end of the pasuk is referring to these two parts of the Torah. At first he says, when you learn Gemara, that teaches you learn Halacha, Mishnah, the revealed part of the Torah. Like we said, that's the mechanism of Judaism. That teaches you how to behave, how to conduct. Conduct could be whether it's between Adam L'Chaveiroi, between man and man, between Adam L'Mokem, between a person and Hashem. And only through good deeds, when you do mitzvahs, that connects Hashem and the world. We elevate the world, and that bonds Hashem and the world. That's sholem, that's peace. Just like by two human beings. You know, if you love your friend, a parent loves a child, it can't keep its love inside its heart, even in its mind. It must come out into the action. When you hug a child, kiss a child, that you tell them a good word, you praise them, those small deeds bring shalom, between friends, between neighbors, between a husband and wife. That's what shalom is all about. But only that is beautiful and it brings shalom, but in comparison, it's still called only a path. You know when you're going to have the true level of Torah, when you're going to have the richness of Torah, understanding not only the details of what to do and how to act and the mechanism of Judaism, but also you understand the depth of why Hashem said you should do it and what's the meaning of all the mitzvahs, the taimei ha-mitzvahs. You learn also pnimis ha-Torah. Then you're going to start feeling the sweetness and the greatness of Torah. How pleasant it is, how delightful it is. It's going to elevate your heart and your mind. So the mitzvahs, learning Gemara, could have an effect more in the action. Teaches you what to do. But the pnimis ha-Torah, that really elevates you inside. It brings you great joy and simcha. And that's noyam. That's the sweetness of Torah. And that's the two parts of the Torah. The rechei hadak and noyam. You want to have the broad avenues and highways and parkways of Torah. That's through Chassidus, and that will bring you noyam, will bring you sweetness and pleasantness. When you have only the Chonis Yisrael, you have the smaller paths in comparison. That's shalom, that's peace, that's very good. But the Shlomo Melech wants that we should have both. That's why when we pick up the Torah, we say, this is Torah Shebeksav. Eitz Chaim Hil Machzikim Bo. And then we have what says in this week's Parsha, Mipizaroi. Make sure that you discuss and you teach your children that something verbally, and not going to know the details now, but in the olden days, what was written, you couldn't say by heart, and that was by heart, mipi, you couldn't write down till later they wrote down the Talmud. But whenever it says in the Torah, in this week's Parsha, mipi, you're referring to Torah Shebeksav, like the Gemara says in Gittin of Samach Hamad Beis, and that was the covenant. But Hashem wants a Jew should have the Torah Shebeksav, but also you should have the rechei hadak and noyam v'chol nesivasei shalom. A Jew should have both the pnimis ha-Torah and the written and the nigla part of Torah, the revealed part of Torah, and that will bring shalom, to peace in the world, to one another, and to the Eibishter, the Yidden, but also you will have the richness and the sweetness of the Torah. May everyone have a shana tova mesuka, a good gewenst year.